For coming. We will have now.
Dear colleagues, thank you for coming for this press conference. The press conference is in line with the 10th AU-EU Commission-to-Commission meeting that is currently holding in the African Union. We are happy to have our officials here and representatives. We will start by presenting the excellencies from the African Union. We have Her Excellency Amira El Fadil. She is the AU Commissioner for Social Affairs. We also have Her Excellency Josefa Lionel Correa Sacco. She is the AU Commissioner for Rural Economy. We have His Excellency Smail Sheghi, who will be joining us shortly. He is the AU Commissioner for Peace and Security. We have His Excellency Albert Muchanga, who is the AU Commissioner for Trade and Industry. On the other side, from the EU side, we have His Excellency Joseph Borrell, who will be joining us shortly. He is the EU High Representative and Vice President for a Stronger Europe in the World. We have Her Excellency Margaret Vestager, who is the EU Executive Vice President for a Europe fit for the digital age. We have His Excellency Frans Timmermans. He is the EU Executive Vice President for European Green Deal. We have Her Excellency Margaritis Skinas, who is the EU Vice President for promoting European way of life. We'll proceed as follows.
Could please the co-chairs of the clusters on the Green Deal and the ecologic transition give a brief 2-minute overview of the discussions that they had, and then we will proceed with the next ones.
Okay.
So please.
Yeah, okay.
Here with the microphone.
On the podium here. Here.
The Green Deal. The Green Deal, please, the two.
The two of us, of course.
The two of us.
You have 2
We're
minutes
double act.
each.
Yeah.
Each 2 minutes first.
First you,
Ladies
please.
first, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. We are here just to report on or share with you, the press, what we've been discussing since morning. This is our 10th college-to-college meeting, and all the clusters met this morning, and we had really a key discussions. A discussion focused on both agenda. The Agenda 2063, which is our flagship program for development, the blueprint for African socio-economic transformation, and we also we looked at the Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development and all its goals. As you know, we have a 10 years action plan at the African Union, and this 10 years is going to expire 2025. We have only 5 years to really comply with the goals we set, for the deliverable of the Africa we want under the Agenda 2063. We also have another challenge, the global agenda, which is 2030. What are we doing? It's remaining only 10 years, so we need to speed up our ambition in order to deliver on all the goals that we set for the African transformation, as well as the continued development of EU. So we had a very nice conversation on climate issues. I'm sure when you go to the website, you'll be able to know, further information, and our final communique will inform on what we have done. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We had a great talk about something that is of a great importance to all of us. How do we fight climate change? How do we create better opportunities, especially for our young people? How do we make sure we grasp the opportunities the new economy will be giving us in the context of also having to face quite a lot of challenges in terms of adapting to changing weather patterns, changing desertification, the present locust infestation we've seen in Africa, for which we really feel very sorry. So there's a lot we need to do, and we're all on the same page. That's the good news today. I believe we should all, African Union and European Union, be together in preparing the COP that will happen in November in Glasgow. so that we have a joint approach to the issue of adaptation, which is very dear to Africa. We also agreed that we would look closer into the issue of swift reaction when there is a problem, when there is a natural disaster or another element that needs our swift intervention. We also look very closely at the needs for energy. This continent will need increasing levels of energy across the board, and the only thing we can contribute is close cooperation and also ideas to avoid making the mistakes we have made in the past, so that Africa can really leapfrog into a sustainable energy future. Africa is already making some incredible advances in that area, but I think working together we can even reap more benefits from these incredible opportunities. And finally, on transportation, I have to say that we also agreed that we would increase our cooperation, especially in rail transport, something that we haven't focused on very much so far, but where there is an interest on both sides to increase the cooperation as well. Thank you.
While you are regaining your positions to wait for the questions, it's now my honor to invite the co-chairs for the cluster on sustainable growth and jobs, His Excellency Albert Muchanga, and Her Excellency Margaret Vestager.
You start first.
Well, thank you very much. I think we can fully confirm the report from the first discussion that there is a sense of communality, of being on the same page. We discussed a number of different things. We have a digital strategy in the European Union, so has the African Union. And one of the things deeply shared here is that the fundamentals will have to be in place. Infrastructure, skills, and of course that we enable data to travel. But maybe the most important thing, that the culture around digitization is to be human-centered. It's about what we as individuals, as citizens, can make of digital tools. We spoke a lot about the economy as well, the very impressive economic growth on the African continent as such, but also how to continue working together from the very positive progress made on the Common Task Force. So we agreed to continue in a number of areas, in economics, in digital, in trade, and that will be my final word here. The warm congratulations on the free trade agreements. We will do what we can do in order to enable that to be a success, and also to push that further in sharing experiences when it comes to customs union and single market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to add that indeed it was a very, very engaging discussion, reaffirming the importance of the partnership between Africa and Europe. One of the key issues that we agreed upon is to have a business summit on the margins of the summit between Africa and EU, which will be held in Brussels in October this year. And we also agreed to share experiences on the development of the African customs union and the single market, taking into account the experiences of Europe. That's a very fundamental agreement. And like indicated, we agreed also to cooperate in the multilateral fora, like the World Trade Organization and the World Customs Organization. The importance of high growth, economic growth rates to Africa were emphasized and noted. 6 of the world's fastest growing economies are from Africa. We need to increase that number so that we create opportunities for job creation. And to this end, we also agreed to enhance collaboration in the area of investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. Allow me now to invite the co-chairs for the cluster on peace and security, governance and resilience, His Excellency Smail Chergui and His Excellency Joseph Borrell.
Well, I think, as you know, peace and security is at the center of our partnership. And the best example, as you all know, is what we have been doing in AMISOM, combating Shabab. And today, what we are also doing in Sahel and in the Horn Africa, and then also in the Great Lake region. So I think this opportunity of today was just an occasion to reaffirm our resolve, our common resolve, to act together in facing a global threat that is mainly terrorism and violent extremism, and also combine not only the architecture for peace and security, but also the governance architecture. I think it's important that we deal with the root causes of all these crises in terms of inclusivity, mainly of youth and women in all what we are doing, in also addressing issues of justice and injustice, and also issues of human rights and the respect of international laws and rights. So I think it has been a very good conversation, and we have decided even to go further in not only working on post-conflict situation by creating a group that will be working on justice and transitional justice, and also taking in account the new threats, that is cyber criminality, that's the challenges coming from artificial intelligence. So we also have decided to create another group working on these issues in order to address the challenges that are coming out in terms of using terrorism of these modern tools, but also to address issues of hate speech, of fake news, and their implication not only on the socio-fabric in our societies, but also in terms of their implication on peace and security. So I think we have had an amazing discussion and even an agreement to work further and to be creative in the way we are going to work in the future.
Thank you. Well, little else can I say. The only thing is to stress the fact that investment and job creations requires stability. We are not going to grow, we are not going to invest, we are not going to create jobs without stability. And in order to reach stability, there are 3 points which we agree on. First, what happens in Africa impacts Europe and vice versa. We are not living in different worlds. What's happening in Africa affects our security and vice versa. And ensuring lasting peace and security in Africa is a shared interest for the Europeans. Second, African solutions to African problems. We cannot come here, the Europeans, saying that's what you have to do. No, only the Africans can find solutions to the African problems, but we can help through regional, international organizations. We can help, we are doing, we will do more. Third, need to adapt, as well in Europe as in Africa, because we are facing with the changing nature of the threats. We therefore need to adapt and working with a new methodology. We have been talking about all this, about cybercrime, digitalization, artificial intelligence, how to work more on the rule of law, elections, and human rights. We exchange views about the European Peace Facility, which is an extra budgetary instrument that will be addressing military and defense needs, security needs in Africa. As the chairman of the African Union said very rightly, we have to silence the guns, but in order to silence the guns, and happily, we need guns. We are not going to stop the terrorists from killing people just by preaching. We need guns, we need arms, we need military capacities, and that's what we are going to provide, to help to provide our African